Way better. Way better. Oh, I got a bunch of yeses now. All right. Well, cool. Well, yeah, I'm using my headsets now. Okay. So, where do I begin? Where do I want to start over in pretty much? But the most part is we are just talking about the folklore of the moon. That's where I started out with. Now we'll get into, like I said, in some of the symbolic stuff here in just a second. There's also been what we call lunar deities. Have y'all ever heard that before? Where there's deities and celestial stories when it comes down to the moon. For example, you got Artemis and Diana. If you ever remember that particular story, the Greek and Roman goddess of the moon, hunting and at childbirth, embodying the moon's connection to what they call feminine energy and natural cycles. Now, when we get down to natural cycles, we can talk about this in here where we get down to it, where there is a lot of phases when it comes to the human body, when it comes down to the moon. But there's a symbol here, as you can see, is the moon was the mind, the sun, the soul, the earth, and the body. So the moon, and then you have the sun, and then you have the earth. Now that symbol, people seen it all the time, where it's the kind of the moon with the circle and all that. And it's all of it is saying that it's all connected. But again, as I go over some of the folklore first and some of the myths first, even thought, if y'all remember thought, right? In the Egyptian god of the moon, he was the Egyptian god of the moon, but it was representing wisdom. It was representing the writing and representing the moon's association with knowledge, as well as magic and the measurement of time. So this was something, once again, that was out there. And like I said, I break it down to three different categories as I go. And again, for those who just got in here, we have the scientific, we got the consciousness, and then we have the folklore, all embedded in stories when it comes down to the moon. Even when you think of Maui, or whatever, this is in West Africa mythology. This is where the moon goddess who balanced the sun god Eliza, if you remember, representing the moon's role in maintaining cosmic harmony. So throughout history, the moon has been associated with balance, right? It's always been associated with something with balance. And I think that's one of the things that we need to look into. Chi, which is a Chinese goddess of the moon, symbolizing immortality and eternal beauty, connected with the moon's allure, along with its role in romantic legends. So when we get down to that myth part right there, you see that it goes all the way back to maybe because the moon is so many people do stuff at night, and maybe the moon is that part of a romance and under the moonlight and whatever, right? Who knows? But the whole point I'm saying is we go from werewolves to romantic stuff. We go to insanity where crazy people do stuff under the moon, hypnotic stuff. Then we have this, and then we have the big secret keepers, the government. The government tends to try to put the moon into the science tide, the lunar tides, the biological rhythms of the earth. And so, do we all come together and agree? Probably not, but it all ties into what we're going to be talking about in a little bit when we get down to this particular part in the Book of Secrets. Once again, we're going to be going through just flipping through pages. So if you haven't seen this and know what's all in this thing, I'm just letting y'all know it's some powerful stuff. For those of you who don't have it, man, it's some great stuff. This is the best of the best. So I'm just letting you know it's one of the best kept secrets and stuff out there. So let me go back to my story page. But so once again, we're talking about the moon. Now, the other part of this, and I'll put it up on screen here if you need a copy of it. There's where you can go get it. Get it for we take it down pretty soon anyway, for those of you already got it. So let me get back on track. The gravitational pull. Now, NASA and the world at large, when it comes down to the scientific community, focuses on the moon with the gravitational pull. And they're saying that it's the force that creates the tides in the oceans. But then we still can go back to Greek mythology of Poseidon and all of this stuff associated with the tides and stuff of the ocean. But it also said it impact marine life and coastal ecosystems. Menstrual cycles. Oh my God. So I'm not a woman, but you all probably would assume. And if all of you ladies in the house in here, if y'all want to get into the conversation, tell me a little bit about your your particular menstrual cycle. You know, just put in the chat. Is it aligned with what's going on in the moon? And by the way, I'm wearing a high strangeness outer space shirt. It's not on the website yet. I'll put it on it, and then it has a big outer space on the back. You can't see it, but it's just I made it for me, but I may make it for you guys. Sleep patterns. But let me back up. The average menstrual cycle is roughly 29.5 days, mirroring the lunar cycle, leading to speculations about the hormonal connections. Now, I would just have to say, ladies, is that true? You know, and oh well, Body Electric said men have cycles too, so I wouldn't doubt it. Sleep patterns. Some studies suggest that the moon can disrupt sleep, potentially affecting mood and cognitive functions. That's another part of this. Animal behavior. Certain animals like corals and sea turtles synchronizes their reproduction cycles with the lunar cycle. Why is that, by the way? What is the power of this moon that we have to sitting out here and pretty much? Now, when we go back, like I said, and we'll get into on the second half, the alien side, the moon's supposed to be hollow, it's artificial. They got bases on it. So that's going to be the second part of this moon show. But the point I'm saying is we want to talk about that. Now, where we here into the conversation of why we're here tonight is the consciousness of it. Now, we're going to get into this and I'm going to work from this book of secrets. But intuition and emotions, let's talk about that right now. Supposedly, and not supposedly, it is being said that the moon is often associated with the heighten of emotions as well as intuition, inviting us to tune into our inner world. Now, it's a lot of truth in that because if you go into here, it talks about that the moon and it breaks it down from money, demand, moon, monitor. It breaks down to the full moon, the dying winding, the new moons that come in, the growth that comes in. And like I said, I'll go through all of this in a few seconds here. But the whole point is we should be thinking about the moon itself. And there's been a lot of movies out there showing how we as humans destroyed the moon, right? We as humans have done so many different things. But once again, it had also said that the moon is the great time for manifestation and intention settings. And this is what I was talking about earlier. If all of you do any business with David G and have him to do any readings for you, he'll talk to you about the intentions of the moon itself. And so the moon, again, many believe that a new moon is a potent time for setting intentions and starting new projects. So you can go to Monica's channel. She talks about it, Body Electric Supplement. Make sure you put your YouTube channel in the chat. So she talks about a lot of this stuff. And so there is a lot of people in our collective community that focuses on the power of the moon. And like I say, is it mystical? Is it something that, and some of you, how many of you right now actually literally base some of your life actions off the moon right now? Put it in the chat. Let's see about that a little bit. So, and we talk about reflection and release, that the full moon is seen as time for releasing no longer serves us. So things that there was a time that a while back that I wrote down a lot of intentions. I wrote about a lot of stuff, and I think we was having some type of moon cycle. I went outside, burnt it, set everything on fire, and then sit there and set it on fire. The intentions and the people and things that I wanted to get out of my life, and then I threw it up into the ashes, and that was during the new moon cycle. So so I've done things myself when it comes down to that, and that's what I'm talking about. Becky says she's doing her grounding tonight. So obviously there are some things with the moon. Philly Cat says growth. Chicago says, listen, I think the moon has a lot of beings on it. We're going to talk about that in the second half of the show. With telescopes, you can see the domes. We're going to talk about that part of the moon on the second half of the show. So stick around, Chicago, when we get into that. But again, the moon is the time that it is seen as the time for releasing, like I said, what no longer serves you, embracing new beginnings. And why is that, by the way? Why would we do such a thing? And now it also says connecting with nature and observing the moon phases can foster a deeper connection to the natural world. So now all that reason why I went through all of that in the beginning is because there's so much mystical stuff about the moon. And who knows the truth of it? So we got the conscious community. Oh, we got the scientific. But is it that all these things could be true at the same time? Right? There is a possibility that two or three things are true at the same time. And so, therefore, do werewolves exist? I hate to find out. Is there something called moon madness out there? Probably so. Is there selkies out there? Probably so. What about moon rabbits? Yes. What about the stories of Artemis and Diana back in the Greek and Roman goddesses? What about Thoth? Billy talks about Thoth all the time when we get down to that. Yeah, we can go into the scientific. I'm just going over. You're talking about the gravitational pulls with menstrual cycles. We're talking about sleep patterns and animal behavior. And that, once again, intuition and all of this stuff. So where do we go with this? How do we put it in? And it's a lot of stuff to question, but it sounds like there's a lot of you that do moon rituals. You do moon rituals. And so now let me hop into what I'm going to get into right now, which would be this book of secrets. All right, so right here, I'm going to start with the moon, okay, and then actually I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So if you want to read it a little more, I can do that. Let me just give you the technology of where we at. All right, so I'll move it over here so you can kind of get your little focus on. Well, it is going to be out of focus, so let me go back. Y'all don't need to see that anyway. You just get your own copy. All right. So let's do that. All right. So, well, anyway, the whole point I'm saying is that right here, it talks about a month is a moon, moon as in Moonth. So there's a different terminology. And it says the moon takes 14 days to wax to a full moon. And then at this point, we also have, let me take this off the screen. Then we have that the moon takes 14 days to wind to what they call a new moon. So this is constantly happening all the time when it gets down to this. And so the other part is, listen, the moon governs all liquid within us, it says here, within us on the face of the earth. So the moon governs all liquids within us and on the face of the earth. The menstrual cycles for women is governed by the moon. It takes 14 days for the egg to become mature in the ovaries. And once again, it's 14 days to wax a full moon. And then if the fertilized eggs 270 days later, a child will be born. If not, 14 days later, the egg will bleed. Who designed us like that? See, this is not no faint of heart. Somebody, some things design. So it's like all of this stuff works together, right? It all works together. Who designed us this way? And that is where, ladies and gentlemen, things that we want to think about when it comes down to this and everything else. And so make sure y'all hit the like button. Yes, make sure you're going to share. Now, here's another problem. My earphones just said battery's low. So where did that lead us? I don't know. I have no clue. But it don't sound good. It don't sound good. But anyway, the moon takes 30 days. Listen, the moon takes 30 days to travel around the zodiac wheel. This is why we use the term month, because it is the month, MON, of the moon. A month is a cycle of the moon cycling around 12 zodiac signs, which is up here, by the way. And so everything is connected once it comes down to the zodiac signs. And then, of course, we all react a certain way depending on your zodiac sign. Now, using the other part is that the moon has an effect on our psychology. And then it also, this is what we use the term lunatic, like I explained earlier. And it has been a well-known fact that decades, now that on a full moon, the crime rate will always increase due to the psychological effects that it has on our mind. So, is it safe to say why? I'm not saying for everybody, but I knew the she wolf when it was a full moon, the cycle was coming and all of that. Man, she was crazy. She was crazy. She said, I know women can sync their cycles. Not everyone has the same cycle, obviously, but I think Roderick is making a comparison about the days. Yeah, that's fine. Correct me. Yeah, y'all correct me. Ladies, make sure you correct me. All right, no problem. I don't have a cycle. I don't know. Well, not like you, I would assume. I don't have one. All right, so, but here's the deal. They're saying that the psychological effects has on our minds enhancing the state of the mind we already possesses. This is what stood out to me the most when I read this. It's saying that depending on how somebody acts, right? And we used to say that when we say money amplifies who you already are. Like somebody said, oh, when he got his money, he was a jerk. Well, they always said that that person was already a jerk. The money just amplified it. They're saying that the moon, whatever you act like under this moon, that you were already that. Your mind possesses that already. So if you get all crazy and whacked out, you were already crazy. You were crazy. You just the moon just activated your craziness. You became a little more crazy. And then if you were just calm and collected, maybe you're a little more calmer. But in the most cases, you're crazy, right? But it also said when the moon is in the phase of being new, you want to stay or start what they call new projects, plant seeds, or start a new chapter in your life as the moon will be growing alongside of you. How many of you ever done that? How many of you have ever started new projects? Those of you who follow the moon cycles and everything, how many of you ever decided that you are going to start new projects and do stuff around the moon? Because there are so many other parts of this that we'll get into it from there. But once again, listen to this part. Money only exists in the mind, and the mind is moon. And therefore, in your mind, you have a specific mood, which is moon. Isn't that interesting? Let me repeat that. Let me show you. It says money is only exist in your mind, and mind is moon. And in your mind, you have a specific mood, which is moon. So all of this stuff is kind of put into retrospect, as you can see right here, that they talk about mon equals moon, M-O-N, money, demon, moon, and monitor. All of this stuff are supposedly comes from that part of what we call the moon itself. And it said the moon does not reflect the sunlight. It emits its own source of light. So that's what a lot of people used to tell me when I was growing up, that the light that we saw from the moon was the reflection of the sun being on the other side. And this is why we would say that we have the dark side of the moon or far side of the moon when they say this. And so it's saying that the moon does not reflect sunlight, it emits its own source of light. Now, that's something that I would have to challenge even my own thoughts, because once again, we have always have the dark side of the moon. So how is this strategically done? Because the moon doesn't rotate. We all know that the moon is not rotating; it's in a fixed position at all times. So, is it that part of light? Where is that coming from? What is emanating the light to the moon and stuff from there? So that is pretty interesting when it comes down to this. So they're saying gazing at a full moon will help you gain physical abilities. Huh? Isn't that the opposite though? When you think about this thing, pretty much, and it does spin clockwise. No, I'm not. No, it doesn't spin. It rotates around, but it's not spinning because it's otherwise we will in this whole process you will see the far side of the moon if it was spinning at some point. We will see it. We would all see it, right? But we never. There's never the dark side, the far side of the moon ever being shown because it's moving but it's not spinning, where at some point you're going to see this point, that point. The moon, like I said, is the opposite of the sun. You try to go stare at the sun, you're going to get your eyes burnt out. But you go stare at the moon, it's supposed to give you physical abilities. Hmm. That's a challenge. Under the moonlight. There was a song, Under the Moon, Under the Boardwalk, Under the Moonlight. I used, we would sing it. But at the front, okay, he said the side faces us, rotates to the side that faces us, spins. Okay. So the whole point I'm saying is the moon, listen to me closely, is your mind. And it's, a full moon is when it's the most powerful. So you can use the full moons to your advantage. And for example, by casting spells, as they are more powerful when it's the full moon on the start of something new in your life. And so when you hear the term spells, some people cringe on it like it's some kind of witchcraft or whatever. But what if you casting a spell for yourself, for your own good? You can do that. And so, and I actually, I haven't even opened it. I have this document, a book of spells for life, for your whole life. It's like bunch of different spells. I look at it; it was given to me, and I have them, and I can copy them into some ebooks and stuff. But let y'all tell me. I don't know. I'm not like in the right mind to say I want to go and think I want to cast a spell because to me it still drives me into my Christian roots, right? But hey, is it prayers a spell? Or is a spell a spell? You right? You know what I'm saying? Laying hands on your brother, is that a spell? Well, I don't know. Y'all tell me. Okay, so there you go. Monica says prayer is a spell. So there we go. That answers the question for me a little bit. So the other part of this is you can use the full moons to your advantage. And again, like Cancer, doing spells, you can also have a deep visualization meditation on your future. All of this is here. All of this teaches you, it gives you the phases of everything right here. It's all in here. And this is again the book. This has got the ultimate knowledge of what we're going. And like I said, I'll thumb back through this real quick. Let me put it on this page. I'm gonna go through this so fast. Y'all pay attention so you know what's all in here real quick. This is the book of secrets that doesn't get out much. You have everything about light. You have everything about Christ oil. It's going to teach you all the Kundalini. It's going to teach you all about the third eye. We're going to go through this eventually anyway. The Holy Grail, the pineal glands. You're going to go through all the different planes of existence, as within, as without. You're going to go through all. You're going to learn all of this stuff. This is your secret to life, right? You're going to go into all the consciousness and the chakras and everything else, and it is incredible. And Philly Cat just put the link there. And once again, you talking about higher self. You talk about the hand. This thing is so visual. The head is heaven. It goes through all of those things for you. Where the God is, the God power. You hear them talk about it all the time. It goes through the ether, the flat earth, the heart flat, the flat earth, right? The heart of earth, the whole heart, where the moon, everything's still surrounding the moon. You got cosmology there. You got Freemason. I mean, the list goes on and on. In the firm, and I can just keep going. I just let y'all know this thing is one of the most powerful things that you can have, besides a couple other things in your arsenal. So let me continue to go. And the other part goes to uh, I don't know if y'all seen the vibrational codes. This is pretty good too, where you take it tells you the codes of water and consciousness, and then this actually work. I put these under my pillow. I've been manifesting. You take this particular code for money and vibration. You print them as you need. Love, freedom, and abundance. Pure money codes. You have all of these, and these are from a tree of life, based on a tree of life, and then you take that code and you place it under your stuff. And then, of course, we have the hidden truths. This is a little more conspiratorial. This is going to teach you on symbolic stuff, what's happening with the Vatican, the secret society codes, and all of this stuff. This is going to teach you. Just we went through a show with this already. So these are, again, you can go to the website. I will tell you to pick up all three if you haven't, and I guarantee you will have something that, yeah, flower life. That's fine. Either way, Y'all, and let me put it this like this: if I say anything that's whatever, you can correct yourself. Y'all do it. Tree of life, flower of life, whatever you want to call it. I'm glad y'all understand. You know, I always tell you, I got my grandma box over here, my other box over here. If I say something, just replace it. You have unlimited, whatever. But appreciate the corrections and all of that stuff. So once again, you smart people, and y'all knock it out. But the moon has phases, and this is one of the things that we will talk about when it comes down to this. Maya says she got the book. So yeah, it's so much information. It's so life changing, and I'm just so proud of the people who got their copy because it's helping us with our first documentary project that I'm working on. And then I'm gonna just stop it because it's not. This is the. It comes out. I actually have a tree of life, flower of life book that the actual vintage of all of this. I just made sure I got it all copied and photocopied for y'all, and that was something I wanted to do. All right, so Salsa say you just ordered one. Hey, congratulations, man! You will not be disappointed. Everybody who get this, 1 year from now, if you go through all of this and you just keep referring back to it, your life, nothing would be as it was. Ever since I started this a few months back, manifestation has gave me the willpower to, as my weight loss is just going on, my energy level is going on, just even more confidence of everything else. No, you good, Chicago. You good, man. No, you good. No, if I sounded like I was upset, I'm not. So accept my apology. But you good. I was just saying I make mistakes. I'm eating grapes. But anyway, you're good, brother. You're all good. Don't worry about it. Keep it going though. Keep the conversation moving. Is how we do it. Let's talk about the moon phases and meetings. The new moon, just by the Book of Secrets, is the beginnings. This is where you get to start stuff and really going. Then you have the crescent moon, which it says is here. The crescent moon is where you're going to set your intentions. Then you have what they call the first quarter of the moon. This is after you set those intentions, you now go into action phases. So you can divide your whole plan of life based upon moon cycles, which you can learn that in here, or you can get out there on the internet, whatever. Then you got the waxing of the moon. This is the hash symbol to the left side. Okay. This is what we call refine everything. Then you have once again a full moon, and now you're going to harvest the endeavors. Then you have the moon going this way, which is the introspect of the moon. And then, of course, you have another half on this side, which is the release and what they call let go. So those are things that, again, it was essential that we wanted to talk about this because I think it's important not only in the UFO world of what we're doing, but also as we look into other things. All right, appreciate it. The contributions that we got just now from you know, I can say the name if y'all don't mind. I'll tell you who it was. She said, "Great show." Thank you, Angel. So y'all give a shout out to Angel. She said, "Great show," and there we go, and pretty much. So thank you. Everything is helpful, as we say. And give Michael a shout out. He got his book of secrets. You won't be disappointed, my brother. You will not be disappointed. Um, Having said that, how do we now go into the other side of that? And in setting those attentions and everything else. How do we do that? Yeah, if you find any value in tonight's show, you can cash out any type of contributions. You don't have to buy the books or nothing, but if you want to, uh, any value there, Philly Cat put it in the chat, so appreciate it. But there it is there, and then I can actually put it somewhere on the top of the banner for right now. So if you find any value in tonight's show, then be more than happy for you to send a little blessing. It's real easy to do. How many of you are willing to practice this? How many of you are willing to say, okay, because the moon is in certain cycles now? I haven't looked outside to know where it is, but how many of you are willing to do this? Because Mun, and here's what I want to show you right here. It's important that you see this. Okay. Right here at the top. So we have the three symbols. Okay. The three symbols that you're going to have is the moon, the sun, and the earth. You see this in all of the ancient folklores, the Christian stuff they would hold, even in wars, they would come holding this symbol on a stick. The moon, which is the mind, and then it would be the sun, which is your soul. The earth is the body. So when you think about the soul, the sun is the masculine fire, which is consciousness. Then when you talk about the alchemy is the symbol for the moon, and then of course the moon itself is the phenomenon, it's the water, it's the subconscious, and once again, it's the symbol that life, it's the symbol of mind, body, and soul. This is where you get that from. But if you want to go into the intricate details of it, now you can understand exactly what we're talking about from here, from there. Before we move into um, before we move into um, the alien side of things, first of all, if you have not voted, let me put that. So I got to talk about that right quick. I am up for a award at the Conscience Award. So this is Forbidden Knowledge Conscience Award. Make sure that you go and vote. We have just a few weeks left. Actually, we got a week and so left. So I need all votes. I need everybody to go vote, share votes. If we can do something, if you tell me we need the image or you can crop it, get it, put it on social media. We got to win this trophy. And yeah, I want it, but we want it too. So let's vote, 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 and do that. Now, if you have not got your tickets, get your tickets. Get your tickets because once again, man, we're going on that yacht party that Saturday night. There's going to be a kind of like a conference early Saturday at the hotel. I think Billy is going to be speaking. They're having a women's panel. It's going to be a freaking powerful event. And then when Sunday comes, there's going to be a book signing. Hopefully, my book will be ready and you can get you a copy, or I may have some pre signings there. But there'll be other people there. And then the Conscious Awards from 3 to 9 that night. Red carpet event. It's just going to be a beautiful thing. Well, what's his name? Giorgio Tsoukalos is going to be the MC. Can't wait to meet this guy when we do the cruise that night or out there in a yacht with a gourmet buffet. People are going to be dancing. Of course, I ain't pole dancing and I'm not a good dancer, but I can, go back and forth a little bit. So I'll be doing that and we'll have a little fun. But once again, you got to go. Billy Cat just put the chat there, the link to the award. So definitely, I want you all to vote. I really do. I want you all to vote as quickly and as much as you can so that we could win what we're winning. So let's do this. All right. So let's do this thing. Let's make sure that you apply once again. When we got the new moon, I'm going to go over it real quickly. And there are moon faces. And when you get this particular book, it's going to show you all of the moon faces right here where I'm pointing. Then it's going to show you and it's going to explain to you each one of them and what you need to be doing during those cycles. New moons, the waxing crescent, the first quarter, the waxing of Kabos, full moon. But if you want to go back to the phases and meanings, we have new beginning on the full moon. We have the waxing crescent where you want to set those intentions once again. Then when it gets to the half on this side over here, you want to take action on whatever those intentions that you put out. Then you want to refine anything and all that stuff. Then you want to harvest those endeavors. Then you want to introspect about it. You want to think about it. Maybe give gratitude, whatever it is, just introspection. Think with internally, and then you release and let go all that bull stuff. and move on to something else once it do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was is our first part that I wanted to talk to. Now, of course, our DNA is alien stuff, so we're going to get into the conspiracy on the other half of the moon here. Um, but as I close the part out with the book and stuff, so again, make sure you get it. If you don't, that's fine, because pretty soon it won't be available for everybody to do. So that's fine. So again, think one of you who actually took everything and let's roll. Okay, and I want to thank each and every one of you for that. Make sure once again that you get your uh, I'm just flipping. Look at that. I'm just flipping. If you think you got all this knowledge in your head, man, no, you don't. No, you don't. But anyway, you better get it, and I guarantee you, life will be different for you. All right. Another thing that I've been doing is this. I'm reading this book of cult symbols. This is really good. It has all of the symbols out there when it comes to occults. Man, this thing is a very good book. And so I'm just learning symbols because that's some of the stuff that I'm fascinated with when it comes down to that. And we've been pretty much as we doing our high strangeness of contents. When we talk about the moon, it's going to be broken down to an alien side that people say aliens on the moon. Then we have the hollow moon theory. We're going to discuss that right quick. And then we have the infamous moon landing, the story of it. And did we ever go? And why we haven't gone back. You've seen several attempts of the Artemis rocket, all these people trying to say they're going back to the moon. Ain't nobody doing it. There is a reason, people, that we're not going there. And the truth of the matter is, we were told not to come back. Now, maybe there's a new alliance, but as Nicole said, there is a big moon tonight. Okay, there's a huge moon tonight. So if you want to go and get yourself together with that, you go good, do it. So that's one of the things I will tell you to really be interesting there. Now, the extraterrestrial. Let's talk about let's go with the moon landing first, which it was a giant leap for mankind, and everything else. All right. So I do believe that the moon landing that they originally said we did was probably not real. I'm not saying we didn't actually go later on. And when we got there, we didn't notice some things that was there. It's just at that time, the governments from China to Russia, or everybody, the space race was intimate at that time. And the United States didn't want to look bad because the Russian had already, at that time, I think they launched Sputnik, the satellite. It was already up. And so they had superiority, the space station and all this stuff. So we wanted to get in our thing. So when Kennedy says, hey, this is what we're going to do, now, according to the records of why Kennedy was off from here and taken out was, yeah, he was also talking about alien stuff. He was talking about the moon stuff. Marilyn Monroe was going to squill the beans. So whatever the deal is when it comes down to the moon, this was a big thing. But once again, the Soviet space race and the political thing, it was at the end of that Cold War, was fueling the race to achieve technological superiority. And whoever said they got to the space first will make their country be the most powerful. So make no mistake about it, we was going one way or the other. Photographic anomalies. This was an issue when it came down to the moon landing. Questions raised about lighting, shadows, the absence of the stars, and then they was talking about it. So if you go back and you look, there was these photos that, hey, there's no stars in the lunar thing. Oh, there was no, there's no wind there. How come the flag looked like it was this? And then there was people saying that there was footprints and stuff that they had marked where you can see where they still had the letters on the rocks like it was props and stuff. There was a lot of stuff. If you remember Steph Curry, y'all remember, he got in some hell of a trouble. He said something about the moon that he didn't think it was real. And because he is a powerful athlete, they got on him. They got on him so bad that not only they took him to wherever the space thing was, if y'all remember that, and then give him an opportunity that he get to feel these moon rocks. He came back to say, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry." That's how they was trying to make sure they did not get the wrong intentions out there. When this man said something about the moon, that was crazy. When it comes down to this, Monica says she just saw uh, a new movie preview about all of this filming at the fake moon landing. Okay, well there you go. So yeah, so go back and you can Google Steph Curry. They interviewed him at the basketball game or something he said, and he said he thought the moon landing was, and it shocked the government. And they was like, no, dude, you got too much power to be putting that out there. And like I said, they gave him a special like tour or something, and but they had him to come back in live fashion and say, oh, he was wrong. And he didn't look too happy about it. Go back. People talked about it. It looked like he was coerced to do that. Scientific evidence. There's vast evidence supporting the moon landing, including lunar samples, that is collaborating some of these testimonies. I think we went eventually. I just don't think we went the time that the world was told that we were there because we were trying to be the front of the space race. And so that was one of the things that I think pretty much from there. Um, then we talk about the cultural impact that the moon landing is significant as a landmark to what they call human achievement, inspiring generations of scientists. Well, why haven't we gone back? Well, let's get into the other part. There is a theory of the moon rang like a bell. Y'all remember the astronaut said that something happened and it rang like a bell for days, like ding, and it just vibrated. There are stories out there that the moon is hollow, that that it's an artificial satellite. There's a movie, I think Halle Berry or something played in called Moon, whatever. Then they find out that there's an organism or AI living into the moon, and there was supposed to be like artificial plants, and it's like a laboratory all built into the moon. The moon has its own axis and ecosystem. That it was like this whole thing, moonfall. Okay, yeah, so check it out. That was something that there. They talk about that artificial origins and hypothesis when it comes down to the hollow moon, that some theories propose that the moon could be, once again, an artificial constructed spacecraft for observation. Now, I'm not going to go as far as saying a damn spacecraft. If it is, it's been sitting there forever. But what about those structures on the moon? What about people seeing these, building like structures when they analyze different craters and different things on the moon? Now, of course, the moon has been around a long time, just as much as long as Earth, and is significant in the balance act of everything. But if you start looking into the galaxies out there, a lot of planetary galaxies all have moons. They all have suns. It's like somebody set the system up to say this is how that's going to go down. Scientific rebuttals. The mainstream science and maintains that the moon composition and seismic data support that it is solid, that it's not hollow, that it couldn't ring like a bell. This is the scientists. Do we believe them? Probably not. I don't, because we can rebuttal everything that they say, everything they're doing. They're saying this stuff over and over. But again, the cover up has always been there. So that's something for us to look at. The hollow moon remains the topic of debate and speculation. It always have, fueling the curiosity about the true nature of the moon. So my question with you all, put in the chat, if a one, if you think the moon is hollow. Two, if you think it's an artificial whatever. Three, do you think it's made of cheese? Period. But once again, do you think the moon is hollow? Number one. And then if you think it's anything else, put a four in your answer. So we know you may think it's something totally different. I would love to see how y'all see this. I would love to see in the chat and maybe highlight a few of your comments when it comes down to this. Another part of this is my part. Somebody said other. Okay, that's that four. All right. Now let's talk about the alien stuff. Now this is where All right. Okay. So we got another four. All right. So it's neither of that. UFO sightings, numerous reports of unidentified flying objects near the moon, sparking the speculation about extraterrestrial bases and surveillance. This has been ongoing forever. I tend to believe that, yes, that'll be a great point for if aliens wanted to observe us. And since there is always a far side and a dark side together of the moon, we will never see them. And because we didn't at some time had the capabilities of getting there, they didn't have to worry. But now, since our government works with them, and we're sitting here saying we're going to go out there and take a look, they're probably saying, "Hell, no, you not. Don't bring yourself out here. Don't come up here." The other part was quite interesting is this right here. These are some of the films that I've been in. Open Minds with Regina Meredith, Beyond Belief with George Norrie, Alien Endgames. I was featured on Ancient Aliens. Now I'm in a Bigfoot movies on Amazon, Apple TV. Right in the middle is the Black Knight Satellite. This is a film that I was in that was by Forbidden Knowledge with Billy Carson. The Black Knight Satellite is a mysterious object that is orbiting Earth, believed to be some alien ancient artifact monitoring humanity. This is outside by the moon, but once again, this is there. Billy did an extensive documentary on. I was in it, and one of the things I said is they're watching us and we want to be concerned about that, right? We need to know who's watching us at some point. In fact, our lead researcher, Nicole, sent me an article, several articles in the last past days of and videos of them now. All of these scientists are coming forward that there's life here. Aliens are here. They live underground. Now they're saying, and it's like really weird of all the stuff that's popping up these days. It's freaking weird, but it's not. It's really not. It's happening, folks. It's happening in real time. This is once again why we should be ready. Okay. Strange structures. I just said that. Um, analysis of lunar images revealing unusual formation that some interpret as artificial structures or evidence of past civilization. No different than pyramid structures we got here. Well, they're not actually saying pyramids are there, but there's unusual structures. Now, how can we verify it? Nobody's been there to really take an account. Supposedly, Chinese said they went, but who knows, right? It's one of those things that we definitely don't know, but it's something that we need to know. The government cover-ups, conspiracy theories always alleging that the governments are concealing evidence of alien contact on the moon to avoid panic. It's a little too late for that. Trying to cover up the moon stuff is really too late for that, right? It's really too late for that. I think we need to be more an approach of preparation in the mind, which goes back to why I wanted to tie the alien situation with the moon, because I think we should be prepared. I think everyone should be prepared for what is happening. Most importantly, the disclosure movement, growing calls for transparency and full disclosure of any information regarding extraterrestrial life and lunar activity. This is what's happening out here. Okay. But I still say most of the case too, are we ready? Is this something that we think we're ready for? I discuss it all the time. And that's something that we want to make sure that is it something that we want to see. And I think it's important for us to know that when it comes down to this, it is something that we in fact, listen to this. There was an article, just give you an update in New York Post. Nicole sent me this today that they're saying that they have clues of the bloody biblical battle between angels and gods uh, invading soldiers at Jerusalem. New research. People, they putting this stuff in the press. They're saying their angels and gods existed. Now we know God Elohim's in the Bible. That Elohim and El stood for God, and Him stood for plural. So there were several gods. So we know that was the context in that. But at the end of the day, this is something that we want to think about. So it's in real time. It's in real time to what is happening out here And I think it's important for us to really think about what is going on with what's happening. And I hope that you, once again, is pretty much. I'm not going to hold you up tonight. I know we only been here for an hour, and if we want to bring some people on stage for the little second half, we can just a little bit. I haven't talked to some of y'all in a while. We want to and keep the subject on the moon. We can. Basically, I just want to hear opinions, pretty much of what you think about the moon. If you want, if not, then let's not worry. But if some of you want to come up and give your opinion on the moon, let me know. If not, we're not going to stay too late tonight because I'm going to the gym. Yeah. I dislocated my knee. I can barely walk. It hurts. I'm going to the doctor Monday, and I'm just gonna go tonight and relax in the hot tub if I can get there. And it is bad. Um, Someone says, Roderick, I got some interesting information that I just found about. Did you ever hear Dyson Spear? It actually fits with what we're talking about right now. Well, you want to come up? If I put a chat link in the chat, Inky, you want to come up and tell us about it? Let me know. Yeah, dislocating your knee is one of the most painful freaking experience, especially when you want to put the body weight on it. Oh my God. So I tried some CBD. Um, they found about 6 stars. Okay, I guess he'll tell us in here. Hang on. Um, yeah, that headset, the battery's like we're about to go out. Um, he said they found about 6 stars potentially surrounded by what seemed to be a Dyson spear. Huh. I didn't look too much about that, but yeah, it just kept popping out of place since I've been really on the exercise bike. And then I could just pop it back in place. I'll be like, okay. But the last day or so, it wouldn't go back. It just stayed. And man, I'm telling you, I couldn't even walk last night. I was stumbling. Went to the doctor today, or I tried to go see a doctor, and which I used to go for knee stuff a long time ago, and I actually had a balance there or a credit. So I was like, hey, can I use my credit? And then I used to have Molina insurance. I got Blue Cross now, and so she was like, well, we don't take your insurance now. And they had to. I was in so much pain going in there to find out an hour that they couldn't see me, and they had my money and said, "No, it's $475." I'm like, "I'm not paying you $475. You already got 100 and some of my money that's sitting in a credit." I finally said, "Go get the manager. Y'all issue me a check." I was like, "Issue me a check, send it back, whenever." And they pushed me out in a wheelchair. The suckers pushed my ass out in a wheelchair. I'm not lying. I had to go right back out the car because I couldn't walk. It was bad, man. It was freaking bad. Oh my goodness. Oh, it was bad. So today I was like, man, you need to try all kinds of stuff. Try any kind of little stuff that you can to get this pain, you know, get this pain together. I was like, you know what? It was crazy. It was really freaking crazy. So I tried some CBD. So yeah, I tried some CBD, gummies, and y'all knew the story when I had some THC and I went to the hospital because I don't smoke, never been high in my life. That THC put me out. THC. So I tried some CBD, and finally I went back and bought some kratom across the street, whatever they call it. That helped a little bit with pain. So I'm gonna try to. Lonnie was calling all around some emergencies for me today. Who can take my insurance? So I'll do that. And Selena was like, "Hey, you better get a brace." She's been telling me to get a brace for quite some time, and so and I ended up getting it, but I didn't last week when I was warned to do it. Yeah, Crantum. Yeah, that's what it is. And so I've been trying that stuff, and pretty much. But other than that, we can. Yeah, so it's tough. And like I said, usually I could sit here if it got out of place. I can kind of just move it and you'll hear it pop like, but this time it wouldn't pop back. It just stayed. And oh my God. You want to see a grown man, a full grown man cry? Oh, mm-hmm. Yep. So now I'm like, make sure I get it all in therapy or whatever I need to do. I want to be at the Conscious Awards. And if I win, can't walk up there and then I'll be like, since Selena's gonna be with me, I'll be like, hey, can you go up there and make sure you say a speech and thank the truth seekers, you know? It'd be one of those things. That CBD didn't work for me. It didn't. Somebody said the red crate. He just sold me Bali. He had the red, but he said Bali, the one I bought, was the best one for pain because it said pain. The red one was for like something else. They have all the different colors, but yeah, I bought. They had the green, the red. You know, the brand that I was getting. So yeah, they say it's not that good for you. You don't want to take it, but let me tell you, they had some other strings, some stuff there that was like these 3 pills. It was so the dude just said, "Dude, don't buy it." I'm like, I ain't buying it, but Bali makes me energized. Okay, so you trying them all. You know all the stuff. So I'm just learning about it. Black seed oil? What black seed oil gonna do? What does it do? I mean, for like knee pain, what black seed oil does? I don't know anything about that. Yeah, wild lettuce. Huh? I don't know. I don't know about all that stuff, but CBN is that CBD or is that something different? Which one is it? Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, even when I get through here, when I turn this camera off, I gotta lean up on this chair, put all the weight on this side. Hop my butt in there. It was bad. Really bad. It was really bad. Yeah. I wouldn't wish it on nobody at all. But there's some new exercise stuff that you can put and align it back in place, and so I've been doing that a little bit. It's helped a little bit. So that is something, yeah. I'll take all the healing. Yes, thank you. Send it. Send all the healing that you can get, and pretty much. Let me see if anyone else we need to give a shout out to. All right. So at least one of y'all picked up the stuff today. So I think that's pretty cool. One of y'all picked it up, and we can look at that and see how that's supposed to go. Huh. Okay. We can kind of see what's going on there. Hey, Nicole, I had to change the book cover stuff, but here's a new one. Tell me what you think about it. And we just kind of go into it. Let me know your thoughts. But anyway, yeah, it's rough, man. It was rough as it get. It was rough as it get. I'm telling you right now, it was really rough. That's all I have to say. Hmm. Oh, all right. So Black Seed has never done anything for pain. Sounds like me when yeah, like I said, I didn't know that Black Seed would do anything for pain. Ann said massage and on it an agitated area reduces the aches and pain. Um, yeah, the first one, Nicole, Billy said was a little too eerie. So what do you think about that one compared to that one? Oh, okay. So yeah. So it was like yeah. Um, yeah. All right. Someone says, I wonder if Chicago tea would help. I don't know about all that. Let's see here. Yeah. Maya said, I use CBD roll, and see, I use the CBD. Um, yeah. All right. Nicole, let's talk about a lot of stuff you found this week. You want to come on? You want to send you the email you the link? Can you hop up for a minute or not? We can tell them about all that stuff you sent this week. What do you think? Let me know if you can come in. How many of you how many of you got your book of secrets already? All right, so I'm going to get you a link, and let me open the email. Let's do this. 1 second. We'll get Nicole in here with us. Let me send her an invite link. And open that email. There we go. Do new mail. Cool. There we go. There. Okay, so I sent you an email, Nicole. So you can check your email and hop on in. And Sean, it'll be up probably about another week or so, a couple of weeks, tops, up to the first at least. And then I'll periodically bring you back from time to time, you know. But right now it'll be up. The Hidden Truths one's getting ready to go down. I'm gonna take it down. It's been up the longest. And then the vibrational codes. And then we can kind of do that. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting, as we can see what we're doing. So when you hit that link, so Nicole is about to join us, y'all. So y'all hang on a second. We'll get her to join. Hmm. Well, at least she said she was coming. We'll see. I mean, she was coming this week, today. She said she was coming today. All right, there she is. Here we go. Here we go. When are you going to take down a book of secrets? It'll be up a little bit longer. What's going on?
Hey,
Look,
what's
if I
up?
go down, if I don't know why my stuff wasn't working today, and pretty much, but you know, but yeah, the book of secrets will be sacred secrets will be out for another, I think about 8 days now, and then the hidden truth. I'm going to take it now because we're going to do some more studying from that. So if y'all do, but make sure y'all get. Why everybody keeps saying strawberry full moon? What is that?
Oh, because the moon is tinted like red tonight.
But
It was
didn't they
tinted.
call it like blood moon back in the day? You know what I'm saying? In the ancient.
I think the blood moon was like lunar eclipse because it has
Okay.
that red look when you have a lunar eclipse. But
Mm-hmm.
like in the summertime, you get those like orangey red hue moons. They're like that, like right when the moon, like right after the moon rise, and then
Mm-hmm.
eventually, like through the middle of the night, they turn like regular. But it goes back to its regular color. But it's like usually like right between, like right at dusk when it's getting dark, the moon is rising, and it
Mm-hmm.
has like that reflection from the sun. It's like that orangey pinkish tinge. So
Mm.
I think that's why they call it the strawberry. But it was beautiful when I saw it. I was like, it kind of like caught me off guard because I forgot it was a full moon, and then when I saw it, I was like, wow, like it was really big and that orangey pink color,
Okay.
really really nice.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, I never pretty much heard of that, but you sent me a lot of stuff this week. So let's start with the top. What stood out the most? I was really interested in the angels and demons. Why would they even print that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like the angels and gods, the war, but these jokers printed that.
yeah. I think that surprised me, like especially like the headline. Like I think they're starting to realize like that there's like people are interested in these topics. Like it's not just like something um like supernatural or like woo woo topics. These are like everyday people are really interested in this. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like it all ties in, like with them saying that like there was a war between angels and demons, and I think they like said something like 21 or 2700 years ago, like at something like that. So time before Christ. um, is very interesting that they said that because you know it's it's I feel like they're trying to play into a lot of the stuff that's going on now with them talking about extraterrestrials being spiritual beings, what the stuff that Tucker Carlson has been talking about. Then you
Right.
see a lot of these, like the Vatican putting out its guidelines on what is supernatural, and they briefly talked about what are ETs, and how they're related to the Bible. And so I find it very interesting that all of these different themes are coming up and showing up. You know,
Okay.
the even the Dyson spheres, like, and the Harvard paper talking about ETs living underground. It's just like everybody is starting to get more interested in the topic, which is great because it brings the stigma down, but it's also playing into a narrative. Like, what is the next spin they're going to take? Are they going to go this spiritual route? And I feel like that's where things are headed. They're going to start talking about extraterrestrials and UFOs being somehow part of the spiritual realm.
Okay.
And just a lot of the things that are coming out within the past, I'm gonna say, like couple months, like the past like 2 to 3 months, has been in that direction. So I just find it very interesting that that narrative is being thrown in there now a lot. And yeah, it's interesting to see like where they're going to take the story.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said. It's almost like they're, and I think we've had a conversation
sensitizing people
Mm-hmm.
on purpose. You get what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like
Yep.
they're like, we're going to take this down so that we're not going to let this be. You know what I'm saying? It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, and it's weird, that they're doing this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all again. What's the purpose? What do they know that we don't know, or what are they
Right.
planning to do? Uh, uh, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I feel like um there could be some truth in the spiritual aspect and the fact that extraterrestrials are able to see and recognize things in the spiritual realm that we in our human form are not able to do. And so we have a lot of doubt in what is there in the spiritual realm as a human species, but they might already know what the spiritual realm is,
Mm,
that our souls are connected and all of these, you hear a lot of experiencers talking about how um a lot of the extraterrestrials that they meet are telling them like we're all spiritually connected, we're here to help humanity, like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
um you know and evolve into the next phase of humanity basically. And so I feel like there is a connection, but I also feel like there is that
Do
ancient
you,
aliens connection as
you have
well
do
with
you
it.
have Monica's email? I mean, Monica's information.
I don't.
Okay. She was trying to get the link to that
Oh,
article.
okay. Okay.
Well, you put it in my Instagram, so I can forward it over to her, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Unless you can post it in the chat or something. Do you got a link? Can you do that?
I don't know. I
No.
don't think
Yeah.
it's gonna. I don't think it'll do like a hyperlink.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll get it to her then. But go ahead.
But yeah, I think it's also like linking into the ancient alien aspect too, because you have a lot of these like that article talking about the ancient war between alien or not aliens,
And God,
angels and
and
yeah,
they use the word gods in that thing, and I'm like, who are
yeah,
they playing with?
right. And I think maybe they're trying to drop some hints. Maybe they know some stuff that they're not saying
Hmm.
about our ancient texts, our biblical texts. And there's a lot of people like Paul Wallace and others who are like decoding the Bible and making the translation more literal to like read it for what it is instead of putting your own interpretations on it.
Mm.
Read it for what it says. When it says the gods, they meant the gods. They didn't mean,
Yeah.
you know, um,
Well, they said
one
the
God.
angel. They said the angel of God, though.
Right. Yes. So it's like, what does that mean? Are you talking about a spiritual being or are you talking about a physical being?
That
Because
was that was my interpretation of them, because they're saying that they find it like they found a remnant of it was fought on the ground. You get what I'm
right,
saying?
like,
Yeah,
yes,
this
yes,
happened in the back. We uncovered this old place that shows that there was angels
there was
of
something that,
there,
yeah,
right? I'm like, they
right.
put this in the
Then
Washington Post.
right. So I'm like, that's not a spiritual war.
No,
That's a
that is a
physical war.
it's a physical war.
Yes.
But for them to say where they came from is what really was like. And then the other scientists you were sending the articles, he kept it was what was it in it when they saying that now they believe they here, they're living underground.
Right. Yes. They were
Yeah.
saying like there's like four different possibilities, and they said that I think the underground one was like the most plausible, And you know what's really interesting? I think I sent this to you too, and I posted in my Instagram stories. There was this guy in Brazil. You know, they were speaking in Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, and they were interviewing these two indigenous people from, you know, indigenous areas in Brazil that
Yeah.
like don't have a lot of human contact, but they brought them on the show, and they were talking about aliens, and the indigenous people were looking at them like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that mean? What is an
Yeah.
alien? And they showed them a picture of a gray alien, and they said, oh, those are the ant people. They live
Yes.
underground.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, because they don't have a concept of what aliens are, but they know that they've seen that being
Well,
before, and
well,
they
you
were
know,
like,
the end people
yeah.
story was that during the
And the
Great Flood.
Hopi, yeah,
Yeah,
the
the whole
Hopi said that too.
yeah.
So it's like the indigenous people probably associated them with a creature, or you know, a current animal or insect that already existed, and was like, oh, they got the big eyes with big looking heads. That reminds me of an ant, so we're gonna call them the ant people. They live underground. And he said something like, they can take your spirit underground, and a shaman has to bring you back. So I thought
Yeah, but the
that
story
was
of the
really
ant people
interesting
though,
too.
wasn't the story of the ant people. You know, I'm gonna switch to this FaceTime where we can look at each other. Hold on. I'm gonna put my regular
Hmm.
camera on for y'all. Oh, there we go.
All right.
That way I can look over here. I'm not looking over here. But but one original story of the ant people was that there was a great flood and they took humanity underneath
Yes.
the ground. You
Yes,
know,
they
and
did. And they
yeah,
took them under the ground, and they when they came back up, they like helped them get resettled and you know, populate their lands.
yeah,
That's the Hopi story. Now these people are indigenous to Brazil, and they're saying that the ant people live underground, and they can take your soul underground with them, but
mm,
the only way you can come back is if a shaman gets involved, and I don't know, some rituals to bring them back. So I'm like, wow, that was very interesting. And they had a like name for them that they called them,
right,
and another one of the names that they called them was the Anu. And they were like, the Anu, that sounds like the Anunnaki.
yeah,
So they were like, so I was like, wow, the connection. And you're talking about a group of people that are native to Brazil versus the Hopi, which are native to the American Southwest. So it's like two different groups of people that probably would have never crossed paths, but they
yeah.
have a similar story about these ant people. And so I think that's something to be said. Like, I think we need to pay attention to these indigenous people. You know, people look at the indigenous peoples and their stories and their legends and say, oh, you know, that's just some silly stuff that the native people made up. And it's like, no, when you have these native groups from all different parts of the world that have never interacted with each other, all talking about the same type of thing, you
Yeah,
know, with
yeah.
very similar, but you know, some variety, but very similar themes. That, I'm sorry, but that speaks volumes to me.
Big part, yeah. Coincidence, that coincidence is not that. You're right. It's something else, But
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm still just perplexed on why. Why are they going? They're really stretching it for religion, almost like the Vatican
Oh
is
my
trying to
God,
play
yes,
that role.
yes, yes. They're super highly involved, and I think they are trying to stay out of it, but I think it's inevitable. That's why they made the statement that they made, you know, a few years ago about, if aliens come, we'll, you know, like you said, we'll baptize them
We'll
and
baptize them. We all have the same God, right? Yeah.
right, right.
But what if
So
it's true though? And they know it's true because they the create. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're
Right.
preparing to cover up themselves, you know?
Yeah. They know way more. And like we talked earlier, they're starting to get the technology to be able to read these scrolls that are so delicate. No, they don't want human hands to touch because either they were damaged somehow by fire or whatever. And now they're getting the technology where they're starting to be able to read some of these scrolls. But people like the Vatican and other organizations that have these don't want the scientists to get them because who knows what these scrolls really say,
Yeah.
so it's very interesting to me that like there's a lot of things happening right now, and if you connect the dots, like a lot of them are very closely related. It's just you have to pay attention, you have to connect the dots, you have to read in between the lines. Like there's a story being told right now, and it's a particular narrative that they're, I believe, trying to roll out on purpose. And I don't know who's in control of the narrative. I don't know if it's like the the people who are, the white hats of the world, or the
Or the Black Pope, right?
right.
Well, and you
So
know what? Even though we got the Black Pope, I still think secret societies rule the Vatican. I think everybody have their piece. The Vatican is the protector of all secrets, and that's why, and they control banking, is why they get all the money to protect stuff. But when it breaks down to the real secrets, I think it's secret societies. Because as I've been doing more studying, I'm studying all these books on occult symbols and all of this stuff. I'm starting uh, to notice that, man, secret society ties into this alien thing all the way, baby, to the
yeah.
beginning.
Well, it's
Yeah.
anything that's hidden knowledge, right? So
Yes.
any type of hidden knowledge, old, stuff going back
And it's funny you said that.
centuries.
That's one of the reasons that other book, I call it the Hidden Truth, because it
Oh
has
yeah.
more of the knowledge of all that stuff. Because
Hmm.
it's like, and like I said, I've been really, especially for the brand of high strangeness, to take us down that road of all of that high strange stuff, symbols, stuff that's in plain sight that we're not really paying attention to.
Yeah,
I think it's really,
exactly.
yeah,
There's a lot of things in plain sight. You have to pay attention to the symbolism. If you don't know symbolism, you've got to really look into that,
yeah.
and like the different symbols and logos, and
I
in
mean, let me tell you, this book is full color.
mhm,
This thing is hundreds of pages of color symbols. And I'm like, symbols are everywhere.
they're everywhere.
They're
I
everywhere in plain
yeah,
sight. It's
it's
like, oh my God. Yeah.
I started learning about symbols when I started paying attention to when they were talking about the symbols in like the entertainment industry, in movies and music videos, like back in like the early 2000s. And then I was like, "Oh my God." Like it's everywhere. It's in
Yeah.
everything. So um
The colors, the reds, and
the meanings
associated
of the
with certain
colors.
companies like
Yes.
KFC, all these companies, they're using these reds for a reason. Yeah. And
Yes.
and, and it's really the reason they're using reds because our lowest chakra at the bottom, which is where food and all that is
Mm.
why they're in it, and it's red is the color for it, right?
Yeah.
So
And the marketing. Hmm.
they're activating our chakra through symbols to get us
Hmm.
to buy certain foods.
Yeah, I definitely believe that the people who do like these major marketing campaigns, they are masters in that stuff. Symbolism, and what attracts the eye, and what invokes certain emotions and feelings in people when they see certain things. And even some of those people don't even understand like the depth of the originality of where the symbolism even came from. They're like, oh, this is for this and this is for that. But like when you really start going back into like symbols, ancient symbols, you know, back when you're talking about like ancient Egypt, all the symbolism and like groups like the Masons use, and our government, like what's on the back of the dollar bill and all these types of things, the
Oh my
all
God.
seeing, you know, you talk about the all seeing eye, like those are some of the like more common symbolisms that everybody
Yeah,
knows. But
we have a new shirt that I had some designers, man. I haven't showed everybody, but it has on the back, because I'm doing these shirts with two sides. It has the all seeing eye, like they're watching us, and that's the meaning that we're watching
oh
you.
yeah, the
Um,
watchers, yes.
yeah, they're the watchers, and
Mm-hmm.
this stuff is like the. You know what pisses me off? The more that I'm learning these symbols, like these fuckers are bold as fuck. It's
Very.
like
They think
right
we
there in
don't.
our face, you know.
They think we're ignorant to it. So
But we are. But we are.
most people are, and
Yeah.
once you like, for me, it's like once I started down the rabbit hole, like I couldn't stop. So now it's like every little thing that I see, I'm like, is that a symbol for this? You know, it might it might not be, but I'm just always like paying attention to those little
I've
things.
been fascinated with it, and I just really diving deep for content and just to really start those conversations. And then now it's taking me in some areas. I'm like, I mean, we're talking everyday symbols of this,
Yes,
everything is meticulously done, but it's like these symbols are designed to activate certain things in us that we're programmed for. You know,
mm-hmm.
it's like they know this, that we put this in there, it's going to activate this, it's going to
This,
activate that. So it's
yeah.
kind of like the fasci symbol, the fasci.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start really doing the homework on that, it's about different. The Romans used it to signify every time they conquered different places all together as a strand, we can conquer you
Mm-hmm.
and punish you. And then that axe head was the punishment of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, you're talking Romans, but how is it that the United States and everybody is using that symbol right in front
Mm-hmm.
of our eyes through congressional meetings saying
Yeah.
we think we're working for our country, but they're saying no, we all work
We're
together to oppress the people. From all of us
and
is working,
saying
and it's
we
right in
are
our face.
Rome. We are Rome. We are the Republic.
We are, yes, and it's like right in our faces. It's
But
right
what
there.
happened
They're
to
like,
Rome? But what happened to Rome?
Rome failed.
Rome indeed fell. And
Yes.
so I think that when people talk about like the end times and everything, whenever somebody's talking about the end times, I never think of like the end of the world. I think of fall of civilization as we know it.
Okay.
And so I feel like we are seeing the fall of this situation, this civilization is in play. And I think that it has to fall so we can have another rebirth
Well, wouldn't
of
that
a
go along
new.
with the water bearers? In other words, we in Aquarius, we out Pisces was more religion. Now the Aquarian age is more conscious and
Right.
sense opening.
Yes.
So maybe they're
We're
following with the alignments. They can't stop it because it's
No,
the
they
way it
can't.
works. Yeah.
That's the thing, is that they can't stop it. I think they're trying to stop it, and that's why they're putting so many like distractions and so many like wars and things are going on, because I feel like the people who are in control are fighting to keep control
Mm.
because they know they can't maintain the control too much longer. Because once a certain percentage of the people are consciously awake to what's going on, there's going to be no stopping it. All those old ideals and, you know, structures are going to have to come down so that we can build it to our, you know, the next level where we're going as a human species.
Hang on a minute, Becky. Do you have an email? If you have an email, text it to me, and then I'll email you a link because I need to get it if I put it on here. But I think Becky want to come up and join us or something. So if you
Oh,
still
okay.
here, Becky, if you see her, let me know. Thank you, Monica. I didn't see it. But if you want, if not, I can put a link. But yeah. So keep going. I think it's kind of like, it's the flip side of this
Mm-hmm.
is something that gets me into a frenzy because, and I'm going to use that, that's too harsh of a word. It just get me into deep thought of being truth seekers. Like, it's like someone on the other side knows the truth and saying, you all are pushing down something you don't want to open the fucking door. Y'all may want to know the truth, but if you do, it's almost like you can't handle it. It's like the preparation was, it's like somebody said, let's keep them all in the dark. And then someone else said, let's keep them in the dark, but we're going to rule over the humans, the average us, and, the collective, so to speak. But it's like the more and more you learn about their cynical approach, it's almost like the word occult, which meaning hidden, right? So we think it's negative, but it's just anything that's hidden. They just don't want you to know.
Yeah.
And so so what I'm saying is it some of these things are for our own good that we shouldn't know? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think that there's two sides to that coin.
Okay.
And this is why, because I feel like maybe in the beginning the intention was to protect the information, maybe. So that not everybody needs to know, because they need to protect this information from maybe the wrong hands. But I think at some point, the people who were in control of protecting the information, they start getting ego. They start using it for power. They essentially
that's what I was saying. Yeah.
They essentially became the people they were trying to protect the information from. And I think now that like things are starting to come to light, like energetically, there's a lot going on in the world, and a lot of people are starting to wake up and not fall for, the same old. People are getting really frustrated, and they're like, who are you to say that we can't have this knowledge? I've watched a lot of interviews lately, and that's like one of the things that they say, like, who are you to hide this knowledge from the people? We're not asking you to give us the nuclear codes. We're asking you to say what it is, that we are not alone on this planet. These beings are here. They've been here. They're not trying to kill us because we probably already be dead, but they're here for XYZ purpose.
Well, but that's the other point, though, Nicole. When in our community, we still have all of this. Maybe they're here for our protection, like the Galactic Federation. I don't believe that, because now we did say, like, all this fighting that's happening over there now, that they're starting to say they see UFOs, they're seeing, but they ain't stopping it. They're not stopping.
No,
you get what I'm saying.
Because
so
we have
like,
free will, so it's like it's our decision to fight each other. It's not their decision. And I'm not saying there's not like negative entities or beings out there, because to me, I feel like there could have been a rift within those, within those extraterrestrial groups that could have said like, could have also had a good intention in the beginning, like, we're gonna help you protect this information, but then maybe they have similarities to humans. Maybe they also get ego. Maybe some of them, that's what the old, Sumerian text is saying, like the fight between Enki and Enlil. Like, one wanted to help humans, one was like, nah, we getting rid of them folks. We done with them.
That's because we was already here when they got here, right?
Right.
Or a type of human.
Or a form of us.
Yeah, and a form of that, yeah.
They just wanted to like be done. Some of them wanted to be done with the experiment, and some wanted to like, no, we can't, we can't just destroy these people. They're here now, So I think if I was an extraterrestrial species, that they also are going to have some beings that are, if they're not like drones or like the Borg from Star Trek, they're going to have individualism. They're going to have each being is going to have its own different temperament, just like we do. And and there's going to be some that have, might experience jealousy or might experience
Well,
greed and
now,
ego and
but now what you're just saying though is also the opposite of most of the extraterrestrials are jealous of humans because of our emotions, us being able to understand love and all of this thing. And this is why some of these hybrid stuff exists because, or remember they said like the Greys will be this mechanical suit, or they'll come to try to experience the human emotions.
mm-hmm.
That whoever built that in us perfected something that a lot of these species want.
Right. And I think that also ties back into some of the more biblical texts where they talking about the fallen angels and all of this stuff, because that faction, in Christianity, that faction of angels that followed Lucifer, they, had that jealousy of humanity. And so they lost the war, essentially. And so they fell to earth. And so now it's like that story to me is symbolism for what could have really taken place, which is maybe two different groups of extraterrestrials or the same group of extraterrestrials, but they just broke away from one group broke away from the other because they had a different
Okay,
mission.
Pause right there. That's what I'm starting to interpret with all of this secret society. It's almost like there was one secret society. If you go back to the Knights of Templar and all that stuff,
Yeah.
And it's like some of them maybe got pissed off, so they started their own secret
They
society.
started their own, right.
And then somebody else. But they all used the same playbook of oppression, the same playbook of
yes.
hiding with religion.
Same story
like all
over and over
off.
again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
just like there's different, that's how Christianity became so divided with all the different denominations, because one group was, they started with the Catholic Church, then it was like, Church of England was like, no, I don't want to do what y'all doing. I'm gonna do my own thing. And then everybody else started, and you get the Lutherans, then you get the Baptists, then you get the Methodists, then you get the, and it keeps on going on and on and on and on. And so because somebody didn't agree with another party and they felt like their way was the correct way. And so I feel like that could have easily happened in the extraterrestrial community as well, especially if we come from them, their DNA is in us. That means whatever group that was.
Y'all give Ann a good night.
Good night, Ann.
Yeah.
Whatever group that was, is our nature is part of their nature. So if we have the ability to have such a variety in our species, what makes us think that they don't as well? They're going to have people who are good, bad, and in between. So people,
and that's why
beings that are indifferent.
That's why I don't go with that story that everybody, there's some good, they're here for our own good. No, there's some bad ones here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, there's some bad ones who don't like humans and said we're going to use them as slaves or energy foods or all of this stuff. And there are some saying we need to here to protect the humans from those. But at the end of the day, it's like there's a war for the humans, for the use of humans.
Right. For exactly. The purpose is what we don't know. That's the mystery, I think, is that.
But do we want to know?
Should for me,
know? What I mean?
I'm like an all or nothing person. Like I want to know everything or nothing. Like I want to, and for me, I'm like I need to know everything. Like even if it's bad, like I want to know. I don't want to live a beautiful lie. That's just how I am. I don't want to live a beautiful lie. I want to know the truth so that I can be educated, so that I can educate others.
Okay.
If I respect people that don't want to know, that feel like, no, I'm gonna just stay over here. I get that. but I feel like preparation is the key to survival, whatever happens. And the more prepared you are, the more you can strategize to make your play.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I,
so
I
I'm
think,
like, and I don't want to be like left out hanging and be like,
yeah,
what is
if
going
you,
on?
but if you think about it, so Jillian says, are humans a special species? Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes,
That's why
I
we sit
think
above
so.
the food chain on all of that.
I
But
don't even think we belong here.
well, there you go. But you just said something that I just want to bag into
Hmm.
is when we think about extraterrestrials and their literally of time is totally different from us. You know, they're living thousands
Yes.
of years.
Yeah.
So although we want to be prepared and be ready, but it's like they designed us not to be here to anyway. It's like we ain't gonna live over 100. But now
Right.
we're talking about our souls being reincarnated. That's a different story. But at the end of the day, we got to prepare what generations when they are standing here just living all through it, all watching it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah,
I think each generation has a specific purpose. And I feel like this generation, you
okay,
know,
I can follow you on that now. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I feel like like every generation is like, this is what you do to prepare the next one, to prepare the next one. You just keep on going because we might not live to see, we're not going to live to see what the world looks like 100 years from now that we
Correct.
know of, unless some kind of special,
And
and
but
I
you know
know
what?
they're
When you
working
think,
on the aging drugs now, but
but when you think about, that's another challenge too. Why would an extraterrestrial want to be in hybrid? Then are limited their life expectancy because now they're mixed with the human. Or that's another part. And then when you think about time of 100 years, I didn't really give it some thought. 100 years ago, we went flying in the air, you know. So I'm like,
no,
damn,
look how much we have evolved in the past 100 years.
which was the basis of that
Like,
movie.
we're super, our brains are like how you think of like a computer brain, like moving really quickly over a short period of time and constantly upgrading. That's
Which
what's happening with us. We're
which goes
getting
back to that movie. What was the movie that we was talking about where it was a series? I forget the name of it recently, and the Chinese lady or whatever sent the signal out to
yes,
and
um, three body problem.
three body problem. And the
Yeah,
alien said the reason that they start trying to attack us now was because we were evolving so fast. And by the time the
we would
300
be
years,
unstoppable.
yeah, by the time the 300 years it took them to get here anyway to destroy us, we would have evolved so fast, we would wipe them out.
Wipe them out. Right.
They're
Yes.
like, we need to get them in real time. So they
Right. They're like,
start
we
doing
gotta go
time.
in advance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe that's true. I believe that maybe over certain points in time, we get some sort of collective download that just sparks all this creativity and technology.
Yeah.
And you start having people all over the world, different cultures coming up with similar ideas and just going. And then you have all these inventions, and then you have all these, like medical breakthroughs. And that's when you're seeing all this stuff like come to fruition over time. Like, think about the first time they figured out like penicillin, to
Yeah.
cure infections, and
Yeah.
people actually like live longer. I mean, like, those are the type of breakthroughs I'm talking about. And I feel like we are having some like crazy breakthroughs, or we're on the cusp of like cold fusion. We're on the cusp of,
Free energy. Free
free
energy.
energy,
Yeah.
cures for cancer, um, anti-gravity technology. You're talking about things that our ancestors would have not have even dreamed of.
No, well, let's pause for a minute though. It appears that so far what I'm studying, our ancestors was a lot smarter than us because everything
Ancient,
they
yeah, our
based
ancient
on,
ancestors, yes.
yeah, their technology was based on star constellations. You
Right.
know, everything was based on the zodiac, and a lot they was more in tune with the cosmos, and they knew timing, they knew
Yeah. They
stuff
were
from
brilliant.
yeah, they was
And they
really brilliant based on what they had for
yeah,
that. And, yeah,
their technology breakthroughs, I feel like, was more spiritual. They were spiritually in line, in tune with our
yeah,
planet
okay.
and the
So I
stars.
would say that technologically we are better, but they were more spiritually connected, which what
Yes.
scientists are still trying to figure out today.
We're now just rediscovering that, for
Yeah,
the masses. I think somebody said we have that already. We do have it already, but the masses don't have it. It's not out there for the
yeah.
masses. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, the spiritual technology, there's only a few people that are like really studying that. But now you start to see like books and scientists talking about the soul and our consciousness, and is there some sort of information where people are getting these knowledge downloads, and what is that, and where is that, and how does that even exist? So um it's just very interesting to see all these topics coming out, and I think it's just because a lot of um like collectively as a human race we're getting some sort of energy download. I don't know if it's like it comes from the sun's energy. Like lately, we've been getting a lot of like solar flares and aurora borealis that was
Well,
in
we got
areas that it
we got
wasn't normally in.
this heat dome that's moving around everywhere.
So yeah, so I feel like it's a cosmic thing that's happening. Like nobody can. That's why I said they cannot stop it, because I feel like it's a cosmic thing. It's like in our universe, and it's like hitting our planet, and it's like whatever beings are there, like are going to start to evolve. And maybe for like the animal species, you're talking about like some genetic mutations so they can survive in certain climates that are like not, our climate is changing right now. So maybe that's their way to evolve, but ours is intellectually to evolve, because
Yeah.
our survival is based on how intellectual we are, because physically we're we're not the strongest being on this planet.
No.
Gorillas will crush us. You look at the life in the ocean.
Which makes so much sense. The gorillas are 20 times stronger than we are, and
Yes,
and they don't eat meat.
right. And they're sentient beings. Like they're very
Yeah,
intelligent, and they can communicate in sign language even. I
yeah, yeah,
mean, that
yeah,
is
yeah.
it's amazing to me that they're I think we completely underestimate like the intellect of our the fellow creatures that we share this planet with. They're right now there are scientists that are using AI to talk to whales, and they're learning the patterns and the sounds that they make. And AI that's one thing that I like about AI. Now, obviously, there's other reasons why I don't like it, but is that they're using the programs to like decode
Yeah,
language
but
of animals.
they proved the power of webs in the movie Avatar.
Yes, and
They
that's what
symbolized
they
that.
were. Yes,
They symbolized that in
these
Avatar. Yeah.
they had that sentient connection with the Navi people. And so I feel like we can have a similar relationship with these mammals that are living in the ocean. Whales are mammals, so it's like we can have that type of connection. There's people who are like drowning in water, and dolphins like saved their lives and took them back. Like, how would an animal know to do that if they weren't
Well,
sentient?
well, either sentient or either sensitive. They because I remember there was a video. This lady had some type of medical issue, and she was at some resort, and they had the dolphins there. You know how the dolphin would carry the humans around. Well, when
Mm-hmm.
she got in the water, that dolphin knew that something was wrong with her,
They
and
can
out of all the
smell it.
way, all the way it was trained to carry everybody, it got next to her and went different. Even the trainer was like, "What the hell is going on?" Until he found out that she was had some type of handicap, but the dolphin knew
New, yeah,
and knew not to approach her and pull her like
a
everyone
certain
else.
way.
They've been trained to do, and it was
Yep.
like phenomenal. It was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like certain animals can like smell, differences in the body, and so they know when a person is about to have a seizure or a heart attack or something. Like they can sense the changes in our physical bodies because their senses are like 10 times stronger than ours. So they might not be able to speak verbally
Well,
like
well,
we can,
obviously we
but
know that we use them as drug sniffing dogs too. You know what I mean?
my God, yes, they're extremely intelligent. When I see animals, like I had, it's so funny. I have these chipmunks that live in my front yard, and so one day I had some like old blackberries, and I threw them out there because I was like, "Oh, the chipmunks will get these." And when I came back, because I went to look to see if they had eaten them, there was a lone blackberry sitting in the middle of my step, like they had put it there. Like in like a sense of appreciation, like, oh,
Mm.
thanks for the blackberries. It was just so fun, like crazy. And then it was like they came up and they sat on the step and they weren't like afraid that I was sitting, even though it was a glass door in between us, but they weren't like seeing me and running away. They were sitting there like putting on a show, and I was like, oh, they're used to me, so they're smart little creatures, like no matter how small the brain is, I don't think that encompasses their their consciousness, there's the way that they communicate through senses, through energy, even plants
And in
sense
fact,
energy.
they were. There was a story I was reading about these elephants that there was a lady or somebody or whatever killed this baby elephant at some point wherever it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And when that person died, they was having a funeral, and these elephants that showed up to the funeral and rampaged the funeral.
Wow, they remembered.
They
They
remembered.
remembered.
I was like, what the hell?
They say that
Yeah.
elephants have like crazy amazing memory. Like if they had like a human that saved them or rescued them when they were a baby,
Yeah.
and then like 20 years later, they see that person, they'll like run up to them and be trying to nuzzle them and
That's
show
why
them
that's
love.
why that's why
They
we have that
remember.
coin phrase, you got a memory like an elephant. We uses those coin phrases, but it's true.
Yes,
But
they
yeah,
remember, and I feel like it's not just they remember what you look like. I think it's the energy. I feel like it's energetic. Like they can sense, like they can smell you, they remember those things, not just the face. They're remembering your whole ambiance and aura. And yeah, I think all animals do that.
yeah, that's amazing stuff. So when you and see that's what from secret symbols, secret societies, animals, all of this stuff that is operating in synchronicity of Mother Nature or
Mhm.
just the movements of all of this stuff. And it's just like, this is why this book of secrets, in both of them, but it's more about symbolism, it's more about the divine. And when I was going through it at first, I was like, damn, this is some deep shit. But more and more I look at it, we are energies. We are, and again, it's one of the reasons that these secret society want to suppress the power that we all have, because you start reading about how they heal people with mind and vibrations back in the day. It was like, oh, we can heal that. Let's all come together with collective thought.
Yeah.
And so if you start thinking about the power of the CIA and how they're teaching you to meditate, and affirmations, the power of words to get you into the astral feeling. It's like, but we
Yeah,
keep
well,
everybody dumb of
yeah.
talking a verbal language when we probably can talk a frequency language and get things done a lot more powerful. And it's like, if I'm saying that right, but the whole point is there's a higher level of communication beyond how we do it.
Yeah. Yes, I feel like the extraterrestrials know that. I feel like our animals know that because that's just a part of their nature. I feel like our trees know that. Like if you have like put positive energy around trees, they grow and thrive. But if it's like a lot of negativity going around, and like that they don't grow as well, is because they're vibing off of the energy
Mhm.
level that the human beings are putting out. So it's not just the sense of like um watering the plants and get them getting sunlight. I mean, the sunlight itself emits its own energy for them, but um it's also the energy that they're around. And if they're in like a toxic environment, they're not going to thrive like they would if they were in an environment where you're playing music. It says plants react to music and they react to sound. And so I just feel like there's a lot that we just don't understand about how our environment even works together, like how it's all connected, and how our planet has its own type of consciousness. We talk about the moon and the planets in our solar system. Each one of them has their own unique sound that they make, and each one of them has their own vibration that they're giving off.
Yeah.
There's a different level of consciousness that you can even think of or imagine, because you're not talking
Somebody put
about a
somebody put
living
the link to
being.
the merch site in the chat for Miss Judd, please. She can go there and get the book. Miss Judge, it's on the screen, but it may be too small. But Philly Cat put the link to the merch store so she can get that ebook. But yeah, but it's also kind of like and I don't want to put this out here to encourage anybody. She said about the I didn't send you no coffee though.
She said she sent a cash app for coffee, but now she wants to check out the book.
Okay, send me, Miss Judge. Send me. Uh, Put your telephone. Send me $1 with your telephone number, and then I'll
She
send it
did.
back.
She said she sent it. She said I sent my number over cash app. So yeah,
When
check
today?
it.
She said, but she said that must have been a long time ago though, because she might have done it a while back. I think is what she's saying, and she hadn't heard back. So if
Oh,
you,
okay.
yeah, so if you don't mind, send $1 again to the chat app, and then with your number, I'll refund $1 back. But just put your number. Oh,
Okay, here she said a month
yeah.
ago.
So yeah, so put it in there, and then I'll call you tomorrow or later on or whatever. I'll text you later on tonight, but then we'll see if it was something I was supposed to send out. So
Yeah, you got to get her coffee.
she says she's been waiting. Okay, so yeah, send that, and then when you send it, then it'll show me who you are, and then I can hit the cash app, and it'll show me all the stuff you've sent, and I can go back to it. But just do that, and then I'll follow up with you. But what I don't want to do is encourage what I'm about to say next to people. It's almost like the punishment is where we are now in the human form, so to speak. It's like you get what I'm saying. It's like
I see what you're saying.
you get what I'm saying. It's like out of this human form, which is limited, our souls and spirits are operating. But the other part of that would be okay if we are reincarnated, since if the dogs, everybody have souls, well, the next time we come back as an ant. not
No,
just all human.
I think it doesn't work like that. Like I've heard many, like psychic mediums say that you can reincarnate as another human soul, or your soul can incarnate as another, like a being that's on your level, consciousness wise.
Okay, so
So
what
an
could it be
ant's
a gorilla and an elephant?
like an
Could that be an
ant's
elephant?
consciousness, like an ant's consciousness is not as evolved as a human.
Or that
So we
elephant?
would well, I don't know about an elephant. I don't know where they stand.
I mean, I would
But
love to come back. I would love to come back as a fucking alligator. Those suckers live forever.
yeah, they live for a long time, but I don't want to be an alligator. I don't want to live in no swamp for my whole life. Just mindlessly, they eat each other. So
Them boogers are brutal, man. They are
are.
freaking brutal.
Yeah, they eat each
Prehistoric.
other. So I don't want.
They've been
I don't
around a
want.
long time.
Yeah, and I think they're smart and conscious too, but I think that they just have their physical being is like their predator, and so they're made to, you know, brutally kill and eat their prey. I mean, it is what it is. It's part of nature, but um, you know, I hear what you're saying. But I think it's just growing pains. I think every point in humanity, like I said, there something must fall to grow and get better the next, chapter, whatever. I feel like we're at the end of one chapter and in the beginning of another. And that's why I think it's like a crazy time to be alive, because we're actually witnessing so many different things happening at one time on our planet. Whereas, like you said, 100 years ago, we didn't have the technology to know what was going on across the world. Unless you were a world traveler, and that was very rare, because usually that was only the wealthy people that could afford to, go from one continent to another.
Right, right.
Um, but even then, the travel took longer. It was like months crossing the Atlantic Ocean from Europe to the United States, and vice versa. So I'm just like, I feel like we're at like a prime time where we're about to jump. I don't want to say jump a timeline, but we're about to like a major shift is occurring for humanity. And I think it's not something that's happening like overnight. Like you just wake up tomorrow and everybody's like, we are all one in this peace. And, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be people bucking back because they don't want to go to the new system. There's a lot of people don't like change. I literally work at a company where we have people that have been working there for like 30 and 40 years. And when we make changes, those people are like freaking out,
Right.
because they're used to the old way. And so but the younger, newer employees are like, yeah, this change is great. Like, this is amazing. But the older
But that
generations are
goes that
like,
way.
no.
But that goes with it now, just like everyday society,
Yes.
15, 20 years ago, certain things, the way we looked at is totally different than
Yes.
than everything else. And so I think
And you have to adapt, and some people can adapt and some people can't, and they can't, and they just go by the wayside because they stuck in that old way, and they're going to stay stuck in that old way.